Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on in to Sports Talk with Broads. This is bittersweet because I am pumped for how the squad played in Game 4 to finish off the sweep against the Brooklyn Nets, right? So many players delivered. Tobias Harris, it is a real thing now to say, playoff Toby. This is the second straight year that he's been playing at this level. It's outrageously solid for the team. Paul Reed, 8 offensive rebounds, 15 rebounds total. The energy that he provided, DeAnthony Melton in the fourth quarter was special. This team pulled away without Joel Embiid. That is so important considering the Atlanta Hawks won Game 3 against the Boston Celtics just to buy us a little bit of time. But the negative is obviously Joel Embiid's status, and the tone of Doc Rivers right now is not very good. It is scary to hear him speak. He's saying at the end of the game today, it's about 50-50 on if he's going to be ready for the second round. I mean, this looks brutal, and it sucks because Jacque Vaughn had a game plan. Let's get Embiid out of the game. Let's crush him. Let's kill him. That's basically what he told his team to do. Get the superstar out of the game. Well, you got what you wanted. Do you feel good about yourself injuring others? Do you feel like you got your mission accomplished by taking him out of the postseason potentially? What a joke. And this is why Doc Rivers had the reaction after Game 3. Like, all we want is to have the best players available on the floor at all times. Yet what you're telling your team to do is abuse him. And you see what happens. It sucks, man. I just want to see the guy healthy at this time of the year. And it's not his fault. He's not doing anything wrong. Before you start screaming, well, actually, he's always falling. Yes. He is told to fall because being that big, constantly landing on your feet, is bad for the knees. So going to the ground helps preserve your body because that's so much weight and that's so much intensity on your knees. So that's what they have been telling him to do. Some of this stuff isn't his fault. It's just the unfortunate part of playing the game. But when Siakam elbows you on purpose, trying to take you out, yeah, you're going to break your face. The hands, I mean, it is what it is. So part of me is all angry because it seems like the last 2 seasons, he was the target. And the other team went into it saying, screw you. While some of it is just the nature of playing the sport. It's aggravating. It really is. How they showed up as a team today was so magnificent. They were locked in. They knew the mission needed to be finished today. They knew it. To put themselves in the best position, go sweep them. Don't let this linger. Don't allow it to come back to Philadelphia. Every minute that these players can rest, it's needed. You need every inch of the advantage possible. So could you imagine if Atlanta squeezes out another one at home and makes it at least 2-2? They didn't do it with Trae Young going off. The points were distributed throughout the entire team. Good for them. They had a good team win. Atlanta, that is. Maybe, just maybe, Trae Young could have a 50-burger and snag one. That's still on the table. I would feel differently if they won that basketball game because of that, but they didn't. They didn't. So come on, please, basketball gods, let us have this. And then also, let us get the best Joel Embiid news possible. But I'd be lying to you if I said that I'm feeling awesome about where they're at right now. The swelling behind the knee, how quickly it started. It sounds horrible. It just does. At this point, the head coach is telling you it's a coin flip on where they are if he's going to be available. He's playing the best ball of his life. He's surrounded by the best team he's had. You think in years past, the Sixers win playoff games without Joel, regardless of who the opponent is? Absolutely not. They were down in this game. They stayed with it. They grinded it out. And they just made sure that they were in range. Defense and that end of the floor stepped up. I mean, let's be honest. The beginning of the game, the offense was brutal to watch. Guys like Paul Reed's getting rebounds and trying to throw it back up. It's not even close. It's hitting the backboard, but it's not even going anywhere near the rim until he started kicking it out. James Harden went up to Paul Reed and it's like, yo, dude, you got to get me the basketball back. We got to set this thing back up. You can't be throwing up the trash like that. And then his spark plug was outrageous. Now, I knew that because you were limited and Joel wasn't there, that at some point Doc was going to play Montrezl Harrell. Those 5 minutes didn't go well. Here's why. You have him posting up and trying to score with his back behind the basket. He goes 0 for 2. Dude, we can't be doing that. You know that you're only getting asked to do a little bit. Let's not force it more, all right? Let's not force Montrezl Harrell an offense. You got to know what your role is. You're the vet. It should be obvious. Now, as a team, they went even with him on the floor, so he was 0 at the end of his 5 minutes. It could go worse if you're just trying to buy yourself time. I just don't get why he thought he could be that offensive juggernaut. Then the ball slips through his hands. It goes out of bounds when there was a pass coming his way. And then they had to get back on the defensive side of the floor. That's what irritated me the most, is him trying to do too much with those small minutes. I knew Doc was going to do it. I just also didn't expect Paul Reed to dominate as much as Paul Reed dominated. That was a force. And it was very much needed. It was horrible when P.J. Tucker was getting wide open 3 looks over and over again. Missing, hitting the iron. All these players, though, made sure that they were going to do their job for their teammates. Okay, P.J. Tucker couldn't execute. Tobias Harris was rolling. DeAnthony Melton said, okay, it's my time in the fourth now. Maxey, you shined in game 3. I got you in game 4. Paul Reed, it's your day. You're going to get the start. We don't have Joel. He was great. So wherever a certain player struggled or if one player wasn't healthy, like in Joel's case, Paul Reed raised his hand and said, don't worry about it. This afternoon, I got you. Tobias in game 1 had 21 points. He went 3 for 3 from 3. So didn't miss a shot from behind the arc. In game 2, he had 20 and 12. In game 3, he had 15 and 7. In game 4, he had 25 and 12. I thought rebounding the basketball really stood out to me. But let's give a lot of praise to Tobias Harris because at this time of the year now, 2 seasons in a row, he's been a dog for you. He's been a very consistent player. And prematurely, when we were realizing how the standings were starting to shape up, we jumped ahead and automatically went to Boston because we know that that's something standing in our way. And I made sure that I mentioned Tobias is going to be such an important player in that series because of what he can do, not only as an option on the offensive floor, side of the floor, but also defense. And I've watched him in the past have some really good possessions on Jason Tatum. And I know he can do it because I've seen it. I'm not claiming he's the best defender to ever live. I'm not saying he's going to stop Jason Tatum and Tatum won't score any buckets. But with the confidence that he's got playing, scoring the basketball right now, if you can throw in someone who could play really good, serviceable defense on the other team's best player, and you know that you feel like you have a decent option to go with, and you can also get creative and versatile defensively, but I'm just saying, that's what you look at. When teams see Joel Embiid, they go, holy hell, what am I going to do to stop Joel Embiid? That's right. I have 0 players to go to. I don't have much I can do. I have to try and injure him because if he's on the basketball floor, I am going to get annihilated. That's what teams over the last 2 years have said to each other when they were preparing for the series. Hey, Siakam, elbow him in the face. Hey, Brooklyn. This is Jock Vaughn. Yo, fellas, kill him. With Tatum, and I know the big man, if healthy, I'm fascinated on what they can do there just with his presence by the rim. And we know whenever he gets on players from the perimeter, he can also defend. Joel, 1 through 5, I've seen him defend guards in possessions, and he takes on the challenge. It's beautiful. I know that the other team's best player, there's something that I think can put you in a position to win. He might be one of the players like PJ Tucker. Granted, the contract at this point is what it is, and it's almost running out of length here. But with PJ, the regular season is what it is. Tobias, the regular season is what it is for me at this point. If he continues this and is on the prowl in Boston and keeps this play up, well, then next year when it comes to the 76ers and who are they and this and that, I'm going to have a totally different feel about the Tobias Harris factor in the spring. But that's jumping way too far ahead. I'm more concerned about what's going to happen next week as I keep my eye on the Phillies game here on my iPad. 8th inning, they're up 4-3 to Colorado. Now they have a man on first base. But that's not important right now. What's important is Joel Embiid's health. And them being so open about it on where it is, and it doesn't sound good, is upsetting. Because the Sixers would probably try and undersell it if they felt more confident, don't you think? We've seen the way they've handled injuries in the past. It's always been a huge lie and total nonsense, and it's been all over the place for seasons after seasons. For every single player on the roster, it seemed. But it always was, it's not that bad. We're getting the info. This is like, I got to be honest with you. I hate the words MRI. I know he got an MRI, and the swelling happened so fast, it shouldn't be already at this point. Oh, Jesus. I'm supposed to take that and feel excited about Boston? It stings. It really does crush me at this point. With the Sixers right now and the Hawks where they're at in this series with Boston, you got to pray that they can push it as long as possible. Buy us time. Every day matters. Every moment, every second matters. With Joel Embiid getting his rest. And another thing to factor in before we start running to the phones. 856-442-9805. You can call in and leave a voicemail to be played in just a little while. But even going to the point that we heard Doc Rivers say that, I had to speak with him because Joel Embiid is starting to feel like it's Groundhog Day. We got to go through this again? And Doc's message is, this is all part of our journey. We can't write the script. The script writes itself. But control what you can control, and we as a team will compete the best we can and try and complete this journey. But this is our path. So you got to stay strong. Can't let it beat you down. And we have to approach this the best way we can. Keep your head on your shoulders the right way. Stay engaged. Stay involved. Don't let this beat you. And let's go. I get it. If I was him, I'd be crushed right now. It's the year you deserve to win MVP. Although you deserved to win it last year too. You're playing your best basketball and nobody can stop you. Your jump shot from the nail is a layup. It's a layup. Although, speaking of layups, I do hate watching James Harden sometimes when he's a half a foot away from the rim, because that seems to be his worst spot right now. How many times do you see the ball roll around the rim and then fall back out? At times, Tobias, too. At times, there's a couple others that I see, too, that bother me. Whether it's PJ or it's Paul Reed, I'm like, what are we doing? We can't finish a layup? We can't finish a Jimmy that's 2 feet from the baskets? This is pathetic. But pour yourself 10 feet out, and that's basically a layup for Joel. Why does this always happen to him? I'm sure that's what he's thinking. It's hard not to. But Doc's doing everything in his power right now, and Doc deserves a lot of praise too, may I add. Because I think Doc has had a fantastic season and a really good start to the postseason too. He's had the answers. With and without Joel Embiid. With and without James Harden. They won a game when Joel Embiid had 5 personal fouls. Joel Embiid stunk and was completely useless and clearly was very hurt. So for anyone who questioned his character, questioned his toughness, questioned who he was, which can't believe it, there's actually fraudulent media members in this city that decided to take that route after Game 3. Calling him a bum, calling him a loser, calling him soft, calling him not a championship caliber player. Oh yeah? Wait until you hear the damage that was done to his knee. And yet he's still out there leaving everything on that court. Now it makes sense that he had the type of night that he had in Game 3. Playing on one leg. It's not an excuse. It's real. So you can only imagine the type of pain he was battling through to even be out there, to be a presence. So the Nets still have to focus on him. But there's been a lot of adversity from a coaching level. And Doc has the answers pretty much every single time. I didn't like going to Harrell. I knew it would happen. But you didn't really lose those minutes. You won this basketball game. Paul Reed eventually showed that he was better. But you're down a big man. Someone's going to have to eat a couple minutes. And that's what he did. He ate a couple minutes. It just was ugly on defense. Anyway, all right. Let's run the phones, shall we? Here we go.
So, I think I have 2 takeaways from this game. One, can we give Tobias some love? I mean, I know he's not the greatest of all time, but he did his job. He's like 15-plus scorer. The guard, the best defender, best player, and he's been showing up in the last couple playoff years. So I want to give him some praise. And hate to say it, but I think Doc Rivers is actually doing a pretty decent job making actual adjustments. So I know it's against the Nets, but hey, it's building blocks for the next series.
Now, why do you say you hate to say it? That bothers me a little bit. Why is there this stigma that Doc Rivers can't be good? Doc Rivers is one of the best coaches in NBA history. Whether you like it or not, that's a fact. I'm not just making that up. That's not an opinion. It's not, well, it's subjective. No. He's one of the best coaches to ever coach in the National Basketball Association. That's real. At times, it's important to get a new message, and all coaches get fired at some point, and it's not like he's done everything correct in his entire career. But don't say, I hate to say this, or I'm sorry to say, but Doc Rivers is a good coach. Don't be fooled by a lot of fools in this city that just hate every coach that ever coached the 76ers. He's good. Everyone thought that he's going to get pantsed by Nick Nurse. No. He destroyed Nick Nurse last season. And that was that. Nick Nurse is a fine coach. He's a good coach. He just got canned. That stuff happens. But it's okay to say that Doc is doing his job. That's what happens. See, now the chat says Doc is slightly above average. No, he's not. He's definitely above average. Definitely above average. Zach says Doc sucks. See, this is what I'm talking about. That's fine. You can have that opinion. But factually speaking, he is one of the best coaches the NBA has ever seen. He wins a lot in this league. Wins a lot. You won't find many coaches that have the resume that he has. But that's fine. If you can't see that, I'm not going to waste my energy and waste my time trying to convince you, because it's pretty obvious. So if it doesn't smack you in the face, I'm not telling you he's perfect. I will criticize a move. I will criticize a rotation. I will say that there's things I don't like. I loved his timeout in Game 3, 60 seconds in. I think that set the tone and really made a message to his team, and his team clearly responded. He's coaching undermanned, and at times, Joel Embiid, under Doc Rivers, is having his best seasons, leading the league in scoring in a very guard-heavy league. That is so impressive, and people don't give him any credit for that, which, whatever. You watch the game the way you want to watch the game. But like I stated, it's pretty clear that the impact of Doc Rivers with his scheme, having him work at the nail, having a squad without Ben Simmons, who was a problem for not just him schematically, but with the team too, it clearly had a disconnect in the locker room compared to a special talent and one of the best passers in NBA history in James Harden, being able to work with that in the half-court set with the league leading scorer. It's great. It's great. And I'm cool with saying, hey, Doc, congratulations on all your success this year. I'm fascinated to see you go to work against Boston. Hopefully you have the healthiest Joel Embiid you can have, because you've done a damn good job to this point. The regular season success after starting 12-12, being one of the hottest teams from the 24-game mark in the whole association. It's wild, isn't it, how this works? The team goes on a crazy 50-plus game run, but the coach stinks. He's the worst. Unreal. All right, back to the phones.
Look at Paul Reed channeling his inner Moses Malone out there in the second half, the chairman of the boards. What a performance by the kid who was MIA in the first half, but he got it together in the second half. Tobias Harris put the team on his shoulders, and DeAndre Melton helped as well. I mean, just a great team win. I mean, it is the Brooklyn Nets. I'm trying to keep everything in perspective, but still a solid win. Anytime you beat a team 4 straight times, I mean, I don't care who you're playing, that's not easy to do. Now, just pray that Atlanta can snag another one from Boston some way, somehow. I know they're not going to win that series, but if you can make Boston play an extra game or two, that's really the only chance the Sixers have. I don't see them beating Boston anyway, but you take whatever advantage you can get come postseason.
At this point, I have so many questions because of where the big fella is. DeAnthony Melton, by the way. I think he said DeAndre Melton. But yes, his role was massive in that fourth quarter, and Tobias carried you. It's incredible. I think you point out something very important, though. It is hard to win 4 straight games, no matter who your opponent is. The Brooklyn Nets are not very good, okay? But still, in a postseason, you go to their place 2 games in a row, one of your primary ball handlers gets kicked out of the game. Joel Embiid is off and injured. Like, even if you're healthy, it's hard to win those games. It's hard to win 4 straight games against an average team. Like, I think Brooklyn is average at this point after the trade with Kyrie and Kevin Durant. They're just an average squad with nice young talent, but even some of their young talent was getting exposed and abused out there, getting crossed over. Veterans, too. Patty Mills went flying 5 feet. I watched Cam Johnson get all sorts of tangled up with his ankles, too. I'll tell you, that's the James Harden effect, man. When he can get you crossed up and drain a step-back 3, it is ridiculous. It's hard to win 4 straight. The Boston Celtics struggled to do so against Atlanta. The Sixers against Toronto last year, same thing. And you could see how much it matters to close it out, because if the Sixers could have closed it out sooner last year, Embiid doesn't get that to the face. And then maybe we see a totally different second round play out. But instead, he needed multiple surgeries all around his body. I'm not saying I'm rooting for injuries for Boston. That's part of the game. But you don't know what can happen. When Toronto won the NBA championship, I watched the Golden State Warriors fall apart. I don't want to see that happen. I'm saying things happen. KD goes down. Klay Thompson's injuries. It's part of the time of year. So if some of these teams are going to put their body through more 48 minutes of action and have to play that 2 more times or 3 more times or 1 more time, anything happens, even fatigue. Even if it's a sore knee, a sore shoulder, doesn't have to be anything so intense as heavily as a Kevin Durant injury that knocked him out of the season that one year he had the Achilles problem. But even if it's a sore shoulder, which then results in Marcus Smart not shooting the basketball very well, not having confidence, takes him off his game. Now he's not taking wide open looks. Now it's essentially 5-on-4. Just from a sore shoulder, when going to the rack and looking to get fouled. You just never know. By the way, speaking of looking for contact, one thing Harden's got to do a little better is when he's actually going towards the glass, it looks as if he's slowing up on purpose to try and get an and one call. But then it gets blocked. He doesn't get fouled. And the Nets can try and take advantage of that. Go up and go up strong. He's one of the best passers ever. And you can see how easily he gets his players into certain sets. But there's no denying there's times that it's a tough watch. And he doesn't always shoot the ball very well. That's evident. When he does shoot the ball well, he explodes. But there's times where he'll go 4 of 18. The question becomes, when it is that type of day, how is he distributing the basketball? How is he on other areas or in other areas? And what type of days Maxey having, Tobias having, DeAnthony Melton having? I'll wrap it up here. The way they all pick each other up, no matter the circumstance, is impressive. Each night, it's a little different. Each game, it changes. It's a different player. It's a different area. Maybe it's offensive rebounding. Paul Reed gets the O boards instead of P.J. Tucker being the one to get all the love, because we've seen him at times just extend offensive possessions. Today, it was all Paul Reed. Tobias dug into his bag a bit more. When he gets his efficient games going, though, it's unstoppable. Some mid-range, tough jumpers. The spacing, when he's left wide open, he's been draining them. PJ Tucker, not so much. Tobias, yes. So, guys are picking each other up. That's the name of the game at this time of the year. All right. With that said, they sweep. They sweep, they sweep, they sweep. That's what they were supposed to do. I give them credit. It's not easy. But damn it, they were able to do it. Now, we start to wonder, where's Joel Embiid? So we'll stay on top of all this, and we'll continue to talk about it before we see that matchup with Boston. That's inevitable. Could you imagine how Atlanta pulls it out? They come back down 2-0, take the series in 6. All right, I'm an idiot. See you guys later.